Welcome to the Killer Innovation Show, the longest continuously produced podcast in history. Each week, Phil McKinney brings you the insights and strategies to amplify your creativity and innovation skills. Here's your host, Phil McKinney.
Well, welcome to the show this week. Now, normally this time of year, I would be sitting in Las Vegas with the opening of the Consumer Electronics Show. However, 2021, different kind of a year, COVID, etc. So we are not live in Las Vegas, but that does not mean that CES is not happening. So this year, 2021, CES has gone virtual. And as you know, in previous years, in fact, pretty much all the years since we've started this show, we've done interviews with people around the CES where they're announcing new technologies, new innovations, new ideas, new concepts, trends, etc. So if you want, you can go out to YouTube, you can search. I did my annual predictions video this year. So just look for, Phil McKinney 2021. I'm not sure what title we used on that video. You'll find it over on YouTube, and you can see what my predictions are this year. And you can search back through all the years, including my years when I was CTO at HP. So this year I had high expectations. I was planning on taking my new to me, that is, entertainer bus that I had modified with a new studio in it, Zoom room, etc. It's all ready to go, but we are not going to Las Vegas. So this year, for the normal interview process, we are doing an interview today with a guest, Karen Chupka. Karen is the EVP, Executive Vice President for the Consumer Electronics Show. She runs it all. This is her show. She's been involved with CES now for 30 years. So she has seen it all. She's done it all. And this is the largest trade show in the world. And so Karen graciously came on the show to talk about what is going to be happening at CES virtually this year. And listen to the interview. It's great. Karen gives a lot of history and experiences and what it was like to transition from a physical event where you had 150, 180,000 people coming to now going virtual. But she also talks about the virtual platform and how they're going to do virtual this year. And she also gives you information on how you can register to attend. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world. And they're actually using AI to do simultaneous translations. So odds are you will find your ability to participate this year in CES in your own native language, or somebody that you know that may have never attended CES that could benefit from this. They'll make it available in 18 languages as the show and the event's going on. Not only that, if you register and attend, you get access to the content for 30 days. You don't have to watch it for the entire 2 days. You get 30 days to enjoy hearing and seeing all of the keynotes and leading executives and thought leaders and see new product announcements. And she said there was like 1,800 companies participating, and a large number of startups will be announcing new products at the show. So if you want to see the latest and greatest, you got to be there. So with that, I'm going to shut up. But before I go, don't forget, subscribe and like this. Helps other people find it. And share this, particularly if you know somebody who would be interested in the Consumer Electronics Show and participating. This is the show to share. Go ahead and share that out. Send the file or send the link to people that you think may want to participate. And with that, let's go ahead and let's jump in right into the segment, our interview with Karen Chupka, the Executive Vice President for the Consumer Electronics Show. This week's show, we're talking about CES. I'd like to introduce Karen Chupka, who's the EVP for CES. Now, are you really the EVP of CES, or is this the EVP of CTA?
Well, so EVP of CES, and I also work for CTA, who is Consumer Technology Association, who owns and produces CES.
Yeah,
So kind of both.
for those of us who've been in the industry for a long time, we've been, particularly since I kind of switched over from being in the technology over to the journalism side, you're very good about sending out the reminders every year on how to refer to the show whenever you're publishing your articles or telling the story of the show. So had to double check on that. So hey, Karen, thanks for taking the time to join us here on Killer Innovations. Now, normally we do this at the end of the show. Actually, we always have someone from CES come on to the show at the end of the Consumer Electronics Show to kind of recap what did the week look like, what did the attendance numbers look to be, kind of what trends, what did you hear? This is a little different because we're doing this with COVID. We're not live at the show, and we're doing it just prior to the show opening this year. So, we thought 2020 was crazy. I can't imagine not being in Las Vegas for CES this year. So, tell me a little bit about what was this transition like, going from the physical show to delivering CES virtually.
Sure, and thanks for that question. It has been interesting. I mean, CES moved to Las Vegas in 1978, so we've been there every January since. And I think everybody's used to kind of getting on that airplane and flying to Las Vegas. As we bring 170,000 people from all over the world into Vegas for the week. But we kind of decided that it was probably about April timeframe that we were probably going to be looking at doing a hybrid event of doing both a live CES and a digital portion of it, because we felt that there would already be issues with people trying to travel due to the pandemic. And then, probably about July timeframe, we just realized that there was just no way we were going to safely be able to bring 170,000 people from all over the world into Las Vegas. And so we made the decision early to switch and pivot and make it a digital event. Partly because there's just been so much innovation that has happened over this whole year that we've heard from a lot of our members and exhibitors alike that there was really still that need for that business connection to bring the industry together to talk about new products and new innovations. And so we had to shift and go from what was live to now is going to be a digital event.
Well, it is interesting because, think about companies pre-COVID and the products that they have out to what's happened now. If you think about, we were talking before the show started about Zoom and how prevalent that has become. If you look at Microsoft and how much energy they've put behind Teams and how fast they've iterated Teams with new features to deal with work from home and school from home. And you look at, WebEx and GoToMeeting and all the online, anybody that's in the online collaboration space has just seen this explosion of usage, which, it was had some uptake, but totally has transformed how people work, live, play, today, given the whole COVID experience. But your point about, there's been so much innovation in this year. Do you think it's actually more than on an annualized basis than previous years? You think the energy of trying to solve these problems has really driven this?
I think that, and I think just the like you said, the consumer consumption of it, right? So I mean, you've also kind of been left out that not only are these collaboration tools, but I mean, these are now how people are going to the doctors. These are now how people are being educated. These are now how people are staying connected. And so I think all of that, just was fast tracked this year, because if in any normal time a year ago, if we would have sat down and said, oh, everybody's going to be looking at computer screens to visit their family or to go to the doctors, we would have all looked at each other and said, what are you talking about? But now, that's actually in some instances how people prefer to do things these days, right? So it really did shift everything. And it also shifted just things like even voice technology and haptic technology, because people don't want to touch things as much. Right. So yeah, I think what it really did was really helped consumers' desire to adopt these technologies so much sooner than probably what we would have all predicted a year ago.
So what are, other than we talked, about collaboration technologies, but particularly given the vendors who will be participating in CES this year, what are some of the trends you're seeing? Is there a change in the mix of the type of vendors or the type of innovations that'll be shown this year?
Yes and no. I mean, I think, there's still the traditional technologies, which of course we all love to see, and there's always new advancements in it. I mean, I think probably the one thing I will miss is that just that experience of walking into the hall and seeing a TV that is just so amazing and beautiful that, you want to touch. You'll still be able to see it. There's still introductions coming out, but I won't be able to get to touch it in the same way right now. Um, Also, I mean, we're seeing a lot of advancements in digital health, a lot with wearable
Right.
technologies, so that people can better monitor themselves. We're also seeing that with, regards to, like I said, kind of wearables, and diagnostic even equipment that, doctors can use to help with their telemedicine visits. Seeing a lot of advancements in driverless technologies, AI technology, anything that has to do, like you said, with, kind of people connecting. So education,
Right.
desktops, laptops, gaming, streaming, televisions. I mean, it's really kind of just been one of those years where, there's just a lot of new announcements kind of in those areas, coming out this year.
Yeah, it is interesting though from the standpoint, and I don't know if all organizations have seen this, but in my own organization, where I'm the CEO, we went work from home right out of the gate first week of March, and we've actually recently announced all of our staff will be work from home until the end of May this year, just to give everybody a longer planning horizon for families, etc. But the productivity has actually been up when you think about the amount of innovation, research and development, the activities that my team focuses on. The output has actually increased. You save a little bit of time on driving. You can't get away from it, which is a little bit of a negative because you got to worry about burnout. But post the pandemic, do you think everything goes back to normal, or do you think some of this sticks and stays around longer?
Some of it, I mean, I think some of it sticks, but I think no, I think there will be a lot more back to face because, I do think that what we do see and experience even in trying to just pivot from a physical event to a digital
Right.
event is there's just a lot lost in collaboration. And, what is typically the course of a day, I could run around an office and tell somebody something or help clear up something that's been miscommunicated. Now you're like days in of Zoom calls or Teams calls, and you're still not getting to the right people to help fix that problem. So, I do think that there is that desire to connect and still be face to face, and the collaboration and the creativeness that comes off of that is just far different. I mean, as we know, and I know that these technologies will improve, but it's still, one person can speak at a time. It's hard to have multiple people throwing ideas in like you would do if you were, in a live environment. So, but I do think that because we've set up in this way, there are more opportunities now for people to be able to do more from home than maybe they have in the past, and that trend will probably still continue for a while.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the fact of people missing out on the communications, right? You don't get the serendipity effect of running into somebody, or in my case, having done CS for more than 20 years, you see the same people every year. So you run into somebody walking through the halls, you stop and catch up, but you're not going to sitting here in my my studio. It's not like I've been like, oh, I haven't talked to that person in 3 years. Let me just randomly call them. No, if I run into them at CES, I'll catch up. But you don't. You kind of your sphere of input shrinks when you don't have those opportunities to kind of have that serendipity effect that you have on show floors like CES and other trade shows. Is there thoughts about? I mean, we you haven't had the events just kicking off, so but are you also experimenting to see if there's maybe a hybrid in future years where people who, because my guess is you're going to have a lot of people attend that maybe don't normally can't make the flight all the way to Las Vegas. They live in a part of the world that they just can't get to it, but they can log on and participate virtually. So is there some thought of a long term maybe experimenting with a mix of both the physical and the high and a virtual element to it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had actually had wanted to kind of do that over the years, and so this got us to do it much faster, obviously. But Yes, we think that there is that opportunity to continue to tie people in, digitally, but also for the live event. And I think that's been one of the issues also in just trying to bring the event that we all know and love as a live event into a digital event, which is how do you continue to help those serendipity moments happen? How do you help people continue to connect? And that's a little bit of what we tried to do with the platform, is giving people the ability to opt into an attendee directory so that they can instantly message people and chat people if they want to, and kind of have some of those serendipitous moments where even on the back end, where you're being fed people to visit or exhibitors to visit based on your likes and interests as you registered for the event. So we're trying to do that serendipity, although digitally this time.
We'll talk a little bit about the virtual platform, because and I've attended a lot of virtual press events, and we've got showstoppers that's happened a couple different ways. They've tried a couple different approaches on those kinds of events. Talk a little bit about the platform that you're using, and what do you think gives it some kind of an opportunity for unique experience for the participants?
So what we're doing is, we decided to partner with Microsoft, so we're using Microsoft technologies to help power all of this. And what we really put together was we wanted to focus on that value of connections that really is what's valuable about CES. And so we really created sort of product showcases where exhibitors can come in and showcase their products, and it could be a small startup. We have a lot of small companies and smart startups that are participating with us, to then larger opportunities for the larger companies who wanted to then kind of build a more enhanced experience for the attendee. So that's a little bit of what you can see from the exhibitor side of it. And right now we have approximately 1,800 companies signed up. So there's a lot of companies that are ready to go. We also have about 100 different conference sessions that are going on during the course of the show. So covering everything from how technology has had to change the sporting world, to health and fitness, to a driverless car, to entertainment, streaming, even how brands have had to adapt to kind of everything that's changed now. So a lot of conference content. But then, the part of what we're doing that's a little bit different this year is that we also, for 2 straight days, have a live anchor desk that will be broadcasting live and talking a little bit about product announcements that are made, or we'll be doing some we will be doing some interviews with executives in some different areas of kind of growth areas and trends areas, and also like tying in kind of what's happening from a social media standpoint during that period, so that we can kind of help people stay connected, but also help them find what are some of the hot topics that are happening, over those couple days in the digital world over the next couple days. So, I think that's kind of that unique experience is bringing that live component to it. And as I mentioned, the other thing that we did, which is different than in the live world, is we're also able to allow attendees who register to opt into an attendee directory. And so, as a result of that, I can now connect with you, and I can connect with other people who are visiting the show and finding out what their interests are, and if there's some collaboration that may make sense for us to do. And then if that does happen, there's the opportunity to instantly pop up a meeting and set a live meeting right there and then. So it's it's definitely trying to take some of that serendipity and things that happen on that show floor in the live environment and bringing it together here, for CES this week as we open the venue and bring everybody in to see the latest innovations.
Yeah, the interest of innovation, the interest of the gadgets. Everybody wants to see the new TV, the new mobile phone, the new cameras, whatever it might be. I think that's still going to be the draw. People want to see it. They want to see it first, right? They want to be in the early. So I'm excited. I think it'll be an interesting, it'll definitely be different than any CES we've ever been a part of in the past. But it's I think this is I think what we have seen and what I've seen in other events is the attendance at these virtual events is extremely high, because a lot of people who normally don't attend can say, "Hey, I'll block out 2 days and
Yeah.
participate virtually. I don't have to get onto an airplane and fly." Now, I know you normally don't reveal your attendance numbers until after the event, so and we're before the event, so I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I'll probably follow up or have someone on my team follow up to get the numbers post the event to kind of see what you saw from the standpoint of people participating, in it from that perspective. So
Yeah, and one of the interesting things too is that because this is a digital platform, we're also able to keep the digital platform part of it open for 30 days.
yeah,
So registration will close, but if you've registered and you're part of the platform already, you'll be able to stay on for 30 days and continue to send messages to people and continue to view the content. So unlike kind of what happens in live Vegas, which is your feet are tired and you're rushing through exhibit halls trying to see everything, here you kind of have a little more of a leisurely approach where you can view content on demand and rewatch things and re-see things. And
so
I think
does
the other interesting side that this also presents is that all of the conference programming and stuff, we're also able to use AI transcription and have closed captioning on it. So we actually will also have closed captioning in 17 languages that
wow.
you can watch things and have translations. So it led to your point of maybe making it easier for some people who can't necessarily get on a plane, or also may not have various language skills. This also presents things in their native language that makes it easier for them to view.
So you're saying that all of the sessions, the keynotes, and everything will be viewable over the whole 30 days then?
Yes, absolutely. So
Ah,
once they
wow,
view,
wow.
once we there, there's a scheduling component where you can see what's coming live, or what's coming kind of unveiled at the moment, and then once it plays, you can review it for up to 30 days, and I think that again, because people don't always have the opportunity to see some of those sessions, I think this really gives more of an opportunity to really participate in that way too.
So as we kind of come to wrapping it up, so we're all kind of on the crunch. You're probably under the gun too because you're getting ready to open the show, so it's probably pretty exciting times for check and double check and triple check everything, right? Um, but you've been involved with CES for how many years now?
Yes, it's been over 30 years now, so it's been quite a long time, and I've got to see a lot of transition.
Well, yeah, and the show's gone through a lot, and this year they had built on the new addition in Las Vegas. Anxious to see that the tunnel between to see how that worked. I was pretty excited about seeing some of those new things, but it'll be there for 22. We will all be in Vegas for next year. But I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot here. You've seen a lot of innovations over the last, let's say, 5 years. What do you think is one? I'm not going to make you name the one, but what do you think one or two of the big innovations that you've seen over the last handful of years that came out at CES that you are excited about or were excited about when it was announced?
I think that's always so hard because there's so many interesting things, and then especially as you see how they play out. And I
Right.
mean, we talk a lot about AI, but when you think about all the categories and how that can help, just a variety of things. I mean, everything from diagnosing illnesses to kind of what I talked about, where we can have translation suddenly in 17 languages of something, and I think that's definitely something that we're just starting to see the beginnings of what that can do. I think a lot of it is also sensor. I always say sensor technology, which doesn't sound very sexy sometimes, but when you think about everything that can be measured and how we connect things now as a result of that, I think those are just some of the underlying enabling technologies that have just really just created a lot of innovation.
Right. Yeah. I think and I think if I think back over all of my years and having been involved in keynotes, Steve Ballmer actually announced one of my products from the Microsoft keynote after he took over for Bill Gates's keynote. So having been there, right? It's tough to announce, right? Something new, but CES has always been that magnet. Everybody wants to be there, and wants to announce. So, Karen, I just want to thank you for taking the time to join us here, give us a little bit of insight into CS. Now, registration is still open, right? Because the show's literally is just what you've had the keynote last night, but the day that this the show, the podcast is being released as the opening, day for CES. So registration is still open. If people are interested, what should they do?
So they can come to our website at www.ces.tech, so .tech, and register via there, and then yes, partake in the 2 days of live programming. We have partner programming that will go on day 3, which is kind of letting some of our partners do things on their own platforms. But then once you're in the venue, like I said, we will you'll be able to still continue for 30 days after. So there's still a great opportunity to take part and see some of the great announcements and new technologies that are being unveiled.
Great. And I would also encourage those of you listening to, check out some of the reports that you're going to see published, by a number, literally the thousands of journalists that will be participating. I've been participating both as someone in a doing booth when HP used to have a booth at CES, to having done my journalist rounds when I was with Forbes, to now with having been doing it the last 16 years with the show. So check out. People will be writing a lot of great stories on the new announcements. You're going to want to follow that. So just check out. The only bad thing about it is nobody uses a consistent hashtag. Everybody publishes CES news. So I would just look for CES under the hashtag, and you'll find out all the latest on whatever social media platform you follow, or you can do CES 2021, which will kind of be the other most common hashtag if you're interested in seeing announcements or what's going on. Karen, again, thanks for taking the time out of your crazy schedule leading up to the show, and I wish you the best of luck with CES 2021.
Thanks, and thanks so much for having me, and I hope you enjoy the show, and I can't wait to see you at CES 2022 as well. So thanks a lot.
We'll see you in 2022. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for hanging in there with today's show. That was a great interview with Karen. I mean, Karen, 30 years with CES. She's seen it all. And, knowing what she went through to turn a show that big into virtual, I'm excited to see how this show goes with the platform. And as I discussed in the interview, I do believe, though, that events going forward are going to be this hybrid event where not only will it be a physical event, but virtual events going forward. So these kinds of new technologies that allow for very large gatherings, I think, is going to be an important innovation in the future. So with that, let me wrap up today's show so that you can hop over and register for CES so that you can participate with this great content. As I shared in the interview, also, take advantage of all of the press, all of the articles, the new announcements, seeing all the new gadgets, everything that is being introduced at CES. So do that by going over and checking out the hashtag CES or hashtag CES 2021, and check that out and see what's new, and see if something doesn't inspire you for your next great idea, for that killer innovation that you're going to create that's going to change the world. And with that, thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to listen. Tell a friend, give us some feedback, like the show, subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Podcasting nonstop since 2005, this has been the Killer Innovation Show on the Innovators Network.